Welcome to Global Truth. This is your host, Dr. Nasir Baig. Today, we are turning our analytical lens towards a figure who has emerged from the outer fringes of American politics straight into breaking headline news. A person whose public life has become synonymous with deliberate provocation, aggressive hate speech, and a constant trail of violent altercations and arrests. Edward Jake Lang. Born in Narrowsburg, New York, Lang was largely an obscure figure, a former vape seller and failed mobile app developer until January 6, 2021. That was the day he gained national infamy by taking an active violent role in the attack on the US Capitol. Federal prosecutors indicted him on 11 accounts, including multiple felony charges of assaulting law enforcement officers with a baseball bat and a shield. He spent 4 years in federal prison fighting his case before receiving a full presidential pardon from Donald J. Trump on the very first day of Trump's second term in January 2025. Rather than quietly reintegrating into society, Lang used his pardon as a springboard to build an online persona as a far-right influencer. By 2026, he went so far as to launch a campaign in the Florida Republican primary for the US Senate, leveraging viral outrage, stunt-based extremism, and violent posturing to fundraise and build a social media following. Lang positions himself as a radical Christian nationalist, claiming to fight for white Christian America and branding his nationwide tour as a Christian crusade. Yet, his actual public profile relies on explicit xenophobia, anti-black racism, homophobia, and aggressive Islamophobia. He routinely spreads the white supremacist Great Replacement conspiracy theory, publicly shouting at events, "White people in America, you will be replaced and your children will be black Muslims if you don't stand up now." And he doesn't stop there. He has called to ban Islam entirely and demanded to deputize J6 patriots to bounty hunt illegal immigrants. Lang's tactics rely on staging high-visibility, offensive public stunts, frequently targeting minority communities, sacred religious texts, and municipal buildings to incite violence and record it for social media. On October 18th, 2025, in Dearborn, Michigan, Lang attempted to burn a Quran outside City Hall and slapped the sacred text with a slab of bacon while shouting slurs, later interrupting a city council meeting on live stream. Counter-protesters intervened and the incident was documented by civil rights group. In December 2025, he staged a protest outside a mosque in Texas, holding a severed pig's head with the Quran stuffed in its mouth, drawing widespread condemnation highlighted by the American Jewish Committee, AJC. Early the following year, on January 17, 2026, Lang led an anti-Somali and anti-Islam rally at City Hall in Minneapolis, Minnesota, threatening to burn a Quran on the steps before being overwhelmed and driven away by hundreds of counter-protesters. In February 2026, during a high-tension ICE protest in St. Paul, Minnesota, he smashed a $6,000 prosecute ICE sculpture on the steps of the Minnesota Capitol. This action led to his arrest for felony first-degree property damage and a court order requiring him to stay 3 blocks away from the Capitol. Between May and June 2026, Lang and his group Protect White America broke into a local high school stadium in Frisco and Dallas, Texas, posting threats online. He was subsequently arrested by Frisco police on criminal trespassing and felony terroristic threat warrants. On August 18, 2026, Lang returned to Dearborn, Michigan, alongside Detroit pastor Lorenzo Seville for a Christian Crusade pig roast outside City Hall, resulting in 22 arrests during surrounding street clashes. Most recently, on August 22, 2026, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Lang drove a truck illegally into the City Hall sidewalk toward counter-protesters while displaying a sign with a racial slur, leading to his arrest on felony probable cause riot charges and his detention without bail in Hennepin County Jail. Just days ago, on Saturday, August 2022, Lang provoked his most dangerous confrontation yet. Lang and 6 of his associates arrived in Minneapolis City Hall in 2 vehicles, illegally driving directly onto the pedestrian sidewalk toward a crowd of counter-protesters. Lang stood in the bed of a pickup truck holding a sign with a racial slur. A violent clash broke out almost immediately. Henchmen and bodyguards accompanying Lang, including masked supporters, deployed chemical irritants, mace and pepper spray into the crowd. Police intervened as objects were thrown and officers were struck, including one officer whose ankle was run over by a fleeing vehicle. Lang fled the scene, but law enforcement tracked down his convoy, stopped one vehicle near Interstate, and arresting Lang inside a second vehicle near the Mall of America. Lang sustained minor injuries, was cleared at a local hospital, and was booked into the Hennepin County Jail. Lang is currently buried in a web of criminal indictments across multiple state jurisdictions. Minnesota, Hennepin County, charged with felony rights stemming from the August 22nd City Hall vehicle assault. He's currently held without bail in Hennepin County Jail. Minnesota, Ramsey County, faces active felony charges for first-degree property damage after smashing the state capitol ice sculpture. Bond conditions require him to stay 3 blocks away from all state capitol grounds. Texas, Dallas, and Collin counties. Following his arrest for terroristic threats and criminal trespassing at the Frisco Stadium, a judge initially set his bond at $1 million, reflecting his severe threat to public safety, before it was reduced to $250,000 cash bond with strict travel restrictions. Washington, D.C., subject to active court summonses for making direct, threatening verbal attacks against Capitol police officers during a January 6th anniversary event. Following his August 22nd arrest outside Minneapolis City Hall, Jake Lang's legal position across multiple jurisdictions has escalated considerably. According to local coverage from CBS Minnesota and NPR News, Lang faces probable cause felony riot charges after driving a truck onto the City Hall sidewalks, sparking a brawl involving chemical irritants and counter-protesters. His emerging defense strategy relies on 3 main arguments. Number 1, framing his public appearances as First Amendment-protected political expressions, claiming self-defense and necessary crowd evasion due to hostile swarms, and alleging political lawfare and selective prosecution by progressive authorities. However, Donald J. Trump's Day 1 presidential pardon in January 2025 provides zero legal protection against these current state-level charges under the dual sovereignty doctrine, nor does it offer forward-looking immunity for post-pardon conduct. In fact, his history of violence on January 6 and immediate return to criminal activity has severely harmed his standing, prompting judges in Texas to set high bail and Minnesota courts to hold him without bail. So who stands with him? Who condemns him? Lang does not operate alone. He relies on a small gang of bodyguards, henchmen, and extreme far-right figures who handle logistics and physical protection. Notable allies who have joined his platform include Detroit pastor Lorenzo Seville and influencer Higby, along with mass supporters who routinely use pepper spray against anyone attempting to stop his Quran burnings or block his speech. Conversely, condemnation of Lang spans the political, civic, and religious spectrum. Civil rights and interfaith groups like organizations like Council of American Islamic Relations, CARE, and American Jewish Committee, AJC, have thoroughly documented and condemned his anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and violent racism. CARE officials in Michigan urged communities not to take his bait, describing his antics as dying fire, the last messages of acceptable racism. Local authorities and politicians, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey publicly denounced Lang after his latest arrest, stating, "If you're going to come in here, drive on the sidewalk, incite a riot, and be a problem for people's safety, you're going to get arrested. Then bipartisan rejection. Mainstream Republican leaders and Democratic officials alike have disavowed his primary candidacy, viewing him as a grifter using hate to monetize social media algorithms rather than a legitimate political figure. Jake Lang stands out as a stark illustration of opportunistic bigotry. He is an individual who has weaponized sacred religious texts, racial hatred, and deliberate public violence. Not out of any genuine theological or intellectual conviction, but to gain social media clout and financial contributions from the fringe margins of the internet. Despicable in his conduct and bankrupt in his character, Lang exemplifies how far a public agitator will degrade common human decency for a brief moment of viral notoriety. Amy Ducor, staff attorney at CARE Michigan, highlighted the broader scope of their movement, stating it's not really just about the Arab and Muslim community. Their message is broader than that. Their message is that America is for whites. The American Jewish community further condemned his dual targeting in an official statement. Lang has targeted both American Jews and American Muslims. He foments hatred of Jewish people by spreading anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about Jewish control, greed, and the Great Replacement ideology. He has also made American Muslim communities a key target of his provocation. Yet there is a profound irony in his crusade. In a nation currently facing deep internal polarization, where footage like ICE agents drag out person out of the car, deploy pepper spray during clash with protesters in Minnesota, reflects real civic friction, hate-mongers like Lang are actually failing at the primary goal. Instead of driving communities apart, his shameless attacks on Muslims, African Americans, Jewish people, and immigrant populations have repeatedly brought diverse coalitions together. Christians, Muslims, Jews, Black civil rights activists, and local residents have consistently stood shoulder to shoulder to reject his hatred. History will not remember Jake Lang as a political leader or a religious warrior, but as a pathetic, malicious footnote who inadvertently showed how unity can overcome targeted hatred. People like Jake Lang can try no matter what they want, whatever way they want. But the reality is that whenever you try to fabricate something artificially, it always backfires. Sometimes if you're persistent and you keep funding it for a very long time, it just might work for a very little time. This is all what we have from Global Truth. What are your views about people like Jake Lang? I would like you to comment in the comment section. Do let us know. Until next time, take good care of yourself.